Who is Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori? Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori was considered to be one of the most powerful security officials in Afghanistan. After surviving several assassination attempts over the years by the Taliban and other enemies in Afghanistan, and especially surviving the 7th of June 2007 disaster, which was the first time that his family was targeted by the Taliban, Shaheed General Habibullah did not attend any schools or universities, neither he completed any courses for joining the Afghan military to become a high-ranked general in the Afghan government, as he started from absolutely zero. Being in the Afghan National Police in the 70s, he was declared to one of the most intelligent, bravest and hard-working officers in his hometown of Jaghori. Then, after spending decades in the police forces, Shaheed General Habibullah joined the Afghan National Army to protect his hometown Jaghori from the threats of terrorism. Shaheed General Habibullah had over 10 army checkpoints at Jaghori's border, which was under the control of his army personnel, including his own family's 24/7 every day for over decades. This was the reasons why Jaghori district was declared to be one of the most safest town in Afghanistan, despite receiving constantly threats from the Taliban to surrender. But as Shaheed General Habibullah was alive at the time, so every towns of Jaghori's area, every schools and colleges were open for the public, so more people were educated during Shaheed General Habibullah's presence in Jaghori. And people definitely had the courages and builded houses, markets, shopping centers, and were living in a very comfortable luxury home without worrying about securities or terrorisms. How did Bashi Habibullah became General Habibullah Khan Jaghori? He became a general by spending over 30 years in the Afghan National Army, by having many years of experiences from being a police officer and then holding high-ranked position in the army by hard and honest working without any official support from anywhere. Shaheed General Habibullah was one of the most highly ranked general in Ghazni province, and especially in Jaghori district. He has served and provided securities in different towns of Ghazni province such as Milistan, Adrestan, Karbah and Jaghori district. He always wanted a peace for its people, and had passion towards everyone by caring for them, and it did not matter to him whether they're from different cities or areas. To him everyone had an equal rights and was treated with respects. Anyone had the permission to book an appointment to see General Habibullah in person at his office and to get help from him for issues like solving problems with family members or having issues with other stuff such as lands, shops, etc. Shaheed General Habibullah had tried many times to have a good relationship with the people of Ras-Nagalan district, which is located near Jaghori and it borders the two main districts, but Rasna district had been under the control of Taliban for over decades. As Rasna was under the control of over thousands of Taliban who had occupied it in the 90s, despite threats were made against Jaghori many times to let the Taliban in and surrender, but Shaheed General Habibullah said, "We have a government, we will not surrender to any terrorists and will never ever be asleep against any threats against Jaghori." Shaheed General Habibullah many times had signed up an agreement with the elderly people of Ras-Nagalan to have a peace and between the two main towns to stay united and bring peace within the two towns. Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori had many friends in the Afghan government and specially had a great friendship with Haji Muhammad Mohaqqaq, who's the Deputy Chief Executive of Afghanistan, and also General Murad Ali Murad, the Deputy Interior Minister for Security in Afghanistan. He met many and made friends with majority of high-ranked officials, workers in Afghan government, including the NATO and US forces. Shaheed General Habibullah's main priority was securities and safeties for his people in Afghanistan, and especially for his hometown Jaghori district, where he had many army checkpoints posts for decades at Jaghori's main border of Hotkal. His message to the Afghan people were a clear one, as always evidenced by his video interviews. His main objective was to be unity, and unity was a very important word of his interviews at all times. You can watch his interviews on YouTube channel by searching Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori. As unity was his main goal among the people of Afghanistan, especially for his hometown Jaghori district, he knew only an enemy could defeat us from our backs, so he always insisted to the people of Afghanistan to stay united to defeat any terrorist attacks. Almost everyone in the world with today's technology has been aware of General Habibullah Khan Jaghori's death, as that it wasn't the first time that Shaheed General Habibullah has sacrificed his own family members for its people recently, but also in the past, such as in 2007 catastrophic. He has lost his loved ones, and also recently on 7th of November 2018, which was the biggest catastrophic attacks against Jaghori ever in history of Jaghori's securities. During his time in the Afghan government, Shaheed General Habibullah had many chances, like many of us who's had, for example, to move to another country with our family permanently, such as London, Australia, UK, Canada or Europe, anywhere except Afghanistan, to seek an asylum. But however, he always wanted to protect and serve for his own people, especially to bring securities and safeties in Afghanistan, especially where he was based for decades in Jaghori. In 1997, during the Taliban's time, Shaheed General Habibullah was the first general from Jaghori who tried and avoided a Taliban attack against Jaghori district by negotiating with the Taliban's leaders in order to make a peaceful surrenders and bring a peace instead of having a war against the Talibans. On 7th of June 2007, just after midnight local time, over hundreds of Talibans attacked Jaghori Zaba from the main bordering of Hotkand and Rasnagal, and unfortunately General Habibullah lost his wife, young son Masood Mohammadi, along with his nephew and a bodyguard. On the following day, often the 8th of June 2007 disaster, 2 NATO helicopters arrived at Shaheed General Habibullah's home and gave generally condolences in regards to loss of his family members and supported him during the hardest time of his life, and also gave an opportunity to invite Shaheed General Habibullah's remaining family members to the United States of America. They told Shaheed General Habibullah that the U.S. government is willing to provide protection visa and move your remaining family members to the United States permanently, as there would be more risks and threats here in Afghanistan against you and your family. General Habibullah refused their invitation to seek an asylum in the U.S. and told the U.S. Army that I, General Habibullah, until my last breaths of my life, I will defeat the enemy of my people and keep Jaghori a safer city and help my people, even if to sacrifice more of my family members to the front line. Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori had one of the most bravest hearts with one of the most powerful courages to become first person who built up a house right at the front line, which was located at Jaghori's main border opposite the enemy, where they always had been making threats against Jaghori people. As we are aware that only those who had the courage as General Bashi Habibullah, as he builded a house right at the front line at Jaghori's border for protecting Jaghori. His home was located opposite the enemy right at heart of Jaghori's border garden Hotkal. As he had his family and army personnel to stay alert 24 hours a day every day for any possible threats against Jaghori, General Habibullah was receiving threats letters from the Talibans to hand over Jaghori's securities to them. He was receiving letters constantly every year from the Talibans. However, the Talibans had made many attempts to make a deal with General Habibullah, but as General was of the most loyal and most brave general who did not want to sell Jaghori to the enemy, and each time replied to the Talibans and told them that the people of Jaghori does not want to surrender to the Talibans and ready to defeat any terrorist attacks against Jaghori. Then unfortunately the Taliban succeeded and found some evils from inside Jaghori who would have done anything for money, so the Talibans bribed them by thousands of dollars, then made a deal with those evils and bought Jaghori's securities, and then launched a heavy attacks against Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori from inside Jaghori and outside Jaghori's bordering areas. This has led on destroying Jaghori's securities forever in the history of Jaghori. as this was the biggest catastrophic attacks against Shaheed General Habibullah on 7th of November 2018 at 3 a.m. local time. Over thousands of Taliban's targeted and attacked Jaghori's main border from different parts of borders, specifically Rasnagal and bordering Hotkal Jaghori. Shaheed General Habibullah Khan along with his army personals fought back against the Taliban's, but unfortunately, as there was evils from inside Jaghori who has helped the Taliban's from inside the area, so therefore Shaheed General Habibullah has sacrificed himself along with his army personals, including his own 3 sons, a nephew, and cousins and brothers from Jaghori, by protecting its border. During this historic catastrophe, General's family has lost absolutely everything that they've had, in not just a home but their young family members too, including Hayatullah Mohammadi, Bashir Mohammadi, Javed Mohammadi, Aziz Mohammadi and Lieutenant General Salim, along with other members from their families such as cousins and brothers, especially from Hotkal area, who died defending Jaghori's main border. This historic catastrophic attack lasted for 6 days until the Taliban's took full control of 2 main towns, Hotkal and Jaghori, on 12th of November 2018. By looking at Jaghori in the past, it was considered definitely one of the safer and secured city in its history. As in the past years, for over a decade, Jaghori district was declared one of the safest and secured district in Afghanistan until 7th of November 2018, which unfortunately everything that has changed forever, as over 70 people lost their lives mainly from Hotkal Jaghori, this including over 30 Afghan fully trained commandos that has died. However, by looking at the facts, sadly the Afghan government did not respond on time to provide extra armies to the front line, which means more lives could have been saved if help was provided on time. How important was Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah for Jaghori district? Shaheed General Habibullah was the only person who brought securities and safeties for over 30 years in Jaghori. However, due to illiterate people, as they are not educated enough, therefore it has taken them such a long time to understand that it was only Shaheed General Habibullah who provided securities for decades, but unfortunately they did not realize anything until Jaghori was constantly under attacks on 7th of November 2018. Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori was truly a hero in real life for Afghanistan, and we must never ever forget such an important general, neither those other Shaheeds who died and defended Jaghori's border. When even looking at the history, it shows that Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori was the only general from Afghanistan who has sacrificed himself along with his family members to the front line for his people, and we must know that Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah's family are homeless, devastated by this 7th November catastrophic attacks against Jaghori. It wasn't the first time that Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan not only sacrificed himself but his 2 sons, wife and nephew in the 2007 attack. Then on 7th November catastrophic, he also has sacrificed himself along with his 3 sons at the front line for protecting Jaghori's main border of Hotkal Jaghori. The Taliban's had also bombed his home and took all valuable stuffs by the helps of Jaghori's evils, who got paid thousands of dollars. Shaheed General Habibullah was the only general in Ghazni province who did not have access to helicopters to use it for traveling by air, as he was always traveling to other cities via his own army vehicles with his army personnel by taking their full risks on the roads. However, unfortunately, majority of people from Jaghori did not realize how important Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori was for protecting Jaghori and for providing securities and safeties, as he was the only person who brought securities and safeties for over decades. The 7th of November 2018 disaster against Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah Khan Jaghori has made thousands of people from Jaghori homeless. Over hundreds of people were killed, over 50 people were injured during the 6 days of fighting at Jaghori's main border in Hotkal. Shaheed General Habibullah's oldest son was Hayatullah Mohammadi, who was smart, intelligent and caring. He would have helped anyone if needed or asked, and everyone in the area knew him. and had respect for him, and especially in Jaghori people supported him and other parts of Afghanistan too. Habibullah was General's main bodyguards along with his younger brother Bashir Mohammadi. They were married and had children who would always await for them to return from work, as they were working as their father General's army personals at the front line for protecting Jaghori's border. During the nights everyone in Jaghori would have slept peacefully and except General Habibullah and his army personals, including his 3 sons who sacrificed themselves. They would have stayed awake during the night's 24 hours by staying alert for the enemies in case of launching attacks from Jaghori's main border of Waziristan. Bashir Mohammadi was the second son of Shaheed General Habibullah. He was smart, intelligent, caring, and was fluent in English, Farsi and Pashto. He worked as his father's army personals along with the rest of his brothers for over decades, but however in the past few years he started a part-time business at Jaghori's main shopping centers by selling cars and motorbikes. Shaheed General Habibullah Khan Jaghori was in the heart of everyone in his hometown, but unfortunately still he's had some enemies, different areas who wouldn't like him holding such a powerful position as one of the most powerful security officials in Afghanistan. So when he was traveling in some areas, there were sometimes people who would have tried to launch an attacks against him or would talk behind him by making false accusations against him in the areas. Shaheed General Bashi Habibullah was always telling the people of Jaghori that the best solutions among us is unity, and we must not escape. We have to defend ourselves. We cannot leave everything behind us, including our home and other things. We must fight until death to defeat the terrorisms. We should stay united forever until when we have to run away. If the people of Jaghori would actually listen to Shaheed General Habibullah and followed him in his steps, then today majority of people who are Shaheeds could have been alive, which means no more threats would have been made against Jaghori by the Taliban, and nobody from many areas would have been homeless, and there wouldn't be risks of terrorisms at all as long as Shaheed General Habibullah was alive and among us in today. But as we are aware that he died defending our rights for our people of Waziristan. Shaheed General Habibullah was one of the most popular generals in Afghanistan for his securities and safeties that he brought in Jaghori. He was always considered to be of the most powerful general in Ghazni province for over decades. Overall, it's absolutely heartbreaking and shocking to believe that Shaheed General Habibullah isn't with us anymore, but we must pray for him forever and for all Afghanistan's Shaheeds who has died defending our borders and rights to democracy against the terrorisms, and we must stay united until death to defeat any kind of terrorisms against our people in anywhere in any parts of Afghanistan.